You arrive before warmth exists. There is a kind of discipline that makes rooms uneasy. You arrive before comfort forms. Before jokes loosen the air. Before the body agrees. You sit down anyway. Cold chair. Tight shoulders. Breath shallow. Someone glances up, surprised you're already there, and looks away again. The moment passes, but something has shifted. Most people think discipline begins when they feel ready. They wait for warmth. For clarity. For the internal signal that says now. That belief keeps them circling the same weeks, the same restarts, the same apologies. You've seen it in yourself. Early mornings that start strong, then thin out. Plans written with steady hands that dissolve when the air turns sharp. Showing up cold is different. It doesn't argue with the body. It moves it. Fingers stiff as they tie laces the same way. Jaw tight as the notebook opens to a blank page. The room notices the silence you bring. No announcement. No energy. Just presence that doesn't ask permission. Someone smirks. Someone resents it. You keep going. Warriors understood this long before schedules and apps. The body learns before the mind consents. Knees fold. Spine straightens. Breath counts return while doubt lingers outside the door. The cold doesn't leave, it's carried. If this already irritates you, stay. If you are waiting to feel ready, leave now. Write the habit you keep postponing and sit with the discomfort of seeing it named. The hour that doesn't care who you are. The hour arrives without checking on you. The room is dark. The floor is colder than expected. You stand anyway. Feet touch down. Ankles stiff. The body hesitates, then moves because it always has. Somewhere else, someone is still asleep. You know this because they told you last night they would start today. You wash your face. Water sharp against the skin. Eyes sting. Shoulders remain tight. The mirror offers nothing encouraging. No energy. No fire. Just a body that has shown up before and will show up again. When you step outside, the air presses into the lungs and stays there. Breath shortens. Hands curl inward. A passerby nods, half amused, half confused. You don't return it. Most mornings fail here. Not with quitting, but with bargaining. Just today. Just 10 minutes later. The body feels heavy, and the mind rushes in to protect it. You feel the weight in the legs. The dull ache that suggests delay. Somewhere behind you, the warm room waits. Someone texts that they'll be late. You keep moving. Inside the training hall, the lights hum. The mat is cold. Knees fold without ceremony. Palms rest on thighs. Fingers numb. Breath uneven. Another practitioner arrives after you, surprised. They comment on the hour, laugh quietly, and shake their head. You don't answer. The silence tightens the space between you. They feel it. This is not intensity. It's repetition without drama. The belt is tied the same way. The stance is assumed before the mind offers commentary. Muscles complain, then comply. Sweat comes late. Focus comes later. The body learns the sequence even while the mind remains distant. Across the room, someone adjusts their pace to match yours, irritated by the steadiness. Showing up cold removes the most dangerous variable. Choice. There is no decision to be made when the clock reaches this hour. The action has already happened. You are already here. The cold remains, but it no longer dictates terms. Others notice the lack of negotiation. Some admire it. Some mock it. Most feel exposed by it. When the session ends, there is no relief. Just a quiet understanding that tomorrow will arrive the same way. The question is whether you will arrive before comfort does. Negotiation begins before the body is awake. The argument starts before your feet touch the floor. Heavy eyelids. Dry mouth. A dull pressure behind the eyes. The body knows the hour, But the mind rushes in early, armed with reasons. You sit up anyway. The mattress pulls back. Cold air fills the lungs and lingers. Someone else in the house turns over, annoyed by the sound. You stand without apology. In the kitchen, the light is harsh. Fingers stiff as they grip the cup. The first swallow tastes flat. Shoulders remain tight. The clock doesn't blink. It never does. This is where most people lose the day without anyone noticing. Not by refusing to act, but by reopening the contract. Just today. Just this once. You feel the tug as clearly as the chill in your hands. Outside, the street is quiet. Shoes strike pavement with a familiar ache in the arches. Breath fogs, then steadies. A neighbor passes, wrapped in comfort, and asks why you're out so early. The tone is half curious, half judging. You shrug and keep your pace. The conversation ends behind you, unresolved. Negotiation feeds on warmth. On options. On the idea that the self is something to be persuaded. Showing up cold stars it. The body moves before consent is requested. Legs swing forward. Arms pump. The ache settles into rhythm. Someone joins from a side street, then drops back, irritated by the silence you keep. You don't adjust. At the workspace, the door sticks. You force it open. Metal cold against the palm. The room smells unused. You set your things down the same way. Chair pulled out. Notebook opened. Pen aligned. The first line is written while the hand still shakes. There is no clarity yet. No confidence. Only the action repeating itself. Down the hall, laughter drifts in from late arrivals. They glance in, surprised you are already seated. This is where discipline changes shape. Not as effort, but as absence. The absence of choice. The absence of mood. The absence of explanation. The cold remains present in the fingers, the neck, the breath, but it no longer leads. Others feel it when they speak to you and sense there is no opening to negotiate. When the work begins to warm, it's already too late for bargaining. The body has crossed the line again. Tomorrow will offer the same argument, just as early, just as convincing, and you already know how it ends. Cold is where choice finally dies. By the third week, the cold stops feeling you. It still bites, but it no longer surprises. Fingers stiffen on contact. Calves ache on the first steps. Breath rasps before it finds a pattern. You move anyway. The body has learned the route without asking why. A coworker notices and jokes that you are rigid now. The joke hangs longer than intended. You arrive while the building is still waking. Lights flicker on one row at a time. The chair is cold against the back of your legs. You sit without adjusting. The screen glows. Eyes sting. Someone passing mutters that you are intense. You don't look up. The comment lands and slides off. The work begins before warmth arrives. Cold kills fantasy. There's no image of who you'll become, no surge of confidence. Just the repetition of hands placing objects where they always go. The keyboard clicks while the wrists complain. A colleague arrives late and apologizes loudly, expecting reassurance. You nod once and continue. The silence exposes the excuse more than any response could. This is where choice disappears. Not because you fought it, but because it stopped appearing. The hour dictates the action. The action dictates the state. Mood trails behind, irrelevant. You feel the shoulders loosen only after the work is underway. Sweat comes later. Ease later still. By then, the decision has already been made by your feet on the floor. Others start to adjust around you. Meetings are scheduled knowing you'll be there early. Invitations come with a caveat, if you're free. Some stop inviting you at all. The predictability unsettles them. It reflects back their own gaps. You notice the distance grow and keep your pace. Cold showing up builds a quiet reputation. Not loud enough to praise. too firm to ignore. You're the one already moving when others are still warming their reasons. The body bears the cost first. Tight neck, sore joints, dry throat. The mind follows later, stripped of negotiation. At the end of the day, someone asks how you stay consistent. The question carries a hope for a trick. You feel the fatigue settle into the bones and recognize the misunderstanding. There is nothing to share without breaking it. You gather your things the same way you placed them down. Tomorrow's cold is already waiting, indifferent to explanations, patient enough to see who returns. Ritual replaces effort without asking permission. The ritual doesn't feel sacred. It feels mechanical. Shoes placed in the same corner. Laces pulled tight with stiff fingers. Jacket zipped halfway because full warmth would soften the edge too early. The body knows the sequence. The mind watches from a distance, still half asleep. Outside, the air presses against the chest and stays there. You step into it without pause. A neighbor watches from their doorway, confused by the regularity. Inside the space, the floor is cold enough to demand attention. Knees touch down. Palms rest flat. Skin reacts immediately. The breath catches, then lengthens. Someone enters behind you and hesitates, sensing they've interrupted something even though nothing ceremonial is happening. They whisper an apology. You don't answer. The ritual continues because it always does. Ritual removes effort by removing permission. There is no question of how you feel about being here. The body performs its small actions before opinion forms. Belt tied. Chair aligned. Tools arranged. Each movement costs less than the thought of deciding. Across the room, someone watches and adjusts their posture, irritated by the ease. They fidget. You remain still. Cold mornings make effort expensive. Ritual makes it cheap. Muscles still ache. Joints resist. The neck stays tight longer than you'd like. But there is no spike of resistance because there is nothing to argue with. The sequence unfolds while discomfort lingers. Someone laughs too loudly nearby, trying to warm themselves with noise. The sound fades when it doesn't change your pace. Over time, people begin to name it. They call you disciplined, strict, extreme. The words are offered casually, but there's tension underneath. Your repetition has become a mirror they didn't ask for. You feel it when conversations shorten. When invitations arrive later, then stop. The ritual remains unchanged. Shoes. Laces. Door. Cold. There are days when the ritual feels pointless. When the body is heavy and the breath stays shallow longer than usual. You notice it without responding. Hands still move. The pen still touches paper. The first line still appears while the wrist aches. Someone else quits early and explains why. You nod once, already continuing. Ritual does not care about outcome. It cares about sequence. That indifference is what makes it durable. Effort depends on belief. Ritual depends on time. When the hour arrives, the body steps forward. When the cold presses in, you absorb it and keep moving. Others sense this and grow uneasy around it. Later, when warmth finally arrives, it feels unearned. The work is already underway. The body is already committed. The mind arrives last, confused to find everything in motion. Tomorrow, the ritual will be waiting again, uninterested in how today went, prepared to replace effort one more time. Continuity survives when perfection collapses. Some mornings arrive damaged. Sleep fractured. Body sore in unfamiliar places. The cold feels heavier, as if it has weight. You notice it immediately in the ankles, the neck, the way the breath stalls halfway in. The old standard whispers that today doesn't count. That this is the day to wait until you can do it properly. You step forward anyway. Someone watching shakes their head, already forming advice. The movement is slower. Knees protest when they fold. Fingers fumble once, then find the knot. The ritual bends but does not break. You shorten the session without announcing it. No one needs to know. Across the room, another person packs up early, explaining their injury. The explanation is longer than the action you've taken. The difference is felt. Continuity doesn't look impressive. It looks small. It looks like showing up and doing less without turning it into a story. The body stays present even when intensity drops. Sweat never comes. Warmth barely arrives. You leave with the same tight shoulders you entered with. A colleague asks if it was worth it. You don't answer. The question dissolves behind you. On days like this, perfection is a trap. It asks for conditions, for energy, for proof that the effort will pay off. Continuity asks for none of that. It only asks that the chain remain unbroken. One step, one page, one repetition. The body understands this language better than the mind ever will. You feel it settle into the hips as you walk home. Others struggle with this kind of day. They disappear for a week after a setback. When they return, they announce it loudly, as if noise could stitch the gap closed. You notice the way their eyes search for approval. You nod once and continue your sequence. The silence lands heavier than encouragement. Continuity carries a different cost. It makes your presence predictable. People stop asking if you're coming. They assume you are. This removes a kind of social warmth. You're no longer invited to bond over excuses. Someone jokes that you're relentless. The joke doesn't reach you. The chain holds. There is discomfort in leaving potential untouched. In doing less than you know you can. The cold amplifies it. The body feels underused. The mind spins briefly, then settles. This restraint trains something deeper than effort. It teaches you to stay without drama. To accept a day exactly as it is and move through it anyway. When you return the next morning, the body feels different. Not stronger. Not fresher. Just present. The chain remains intact. Somewhere else, someone is restarting again, telling themselves it will be different this time. You tighten the same knot and step into the cold, knowing continuity has already done its work. Responses are decided long before discomfort appears. The interruption never announces itself. Rain hits the window harder than expected. The alarm fails. The schedule breaks. You feel it first in the chest, a tightening that asks for improvisation. The cold amplifies it. You stand anyway. Shoes go on damp. Fabric clings. Breath shortens. Someone nearby suggests skipping, just this once. You don't answer. When conditions shift, most people pause to think. Thinking invites negotiation. You've already removed it. When rain falls, you move indoors. When time collapses, you shorten the work. When the body protests, you lower intensity. The sequence continues without discussion. Knees bend. Palms touch down. The floor is colder than yesterday. You absorb it. At work, the plan fractures. A meeting moves earlier. A task disappears. Someone complains loudly, warming themselves with frustration. You adjust the chair, open the notebook, write the next line. The hand is steady even while the neck tightens. A colleague watches, annoyed that you are unaffected by the shift. They ask how you adapt so fast. You keep writing. Pre-decided responses feel dull. They lack drama. That's the point. Drama feeds delay. When X happens, Y follows. No pause. No internal debate. The body learns this faster than the mind. You feel it when the shoulders relax sooner than expected. When breath settles without instruction. The cold still presses in, but it no longer demands attention. Others stumble here. An obstacle appears and they stop to reassess who they are today. The reassessment stretches. You notice the gap grow. They explain later why it was impossible. You nod once, already moving on. The explanation hangs in the air, unanswered. There is social cost to this. Friends stop offering advice. Coworkers stop expecting flexibility. Your calendar hardens. Someone jokes that you're inflexible now. The joke carries a request. You don't meet it. The routine remains intact. Shoes off. Hands washed. Tools placed where they always go. Pre-decided responses don't make life easier. They make it narrower. Fewer options. Fewer conversations. Fewer excuses shared. The cold sharpens this narrowing. You feel it in the jaw when you decline an invitation without explanation. In the chest when silence follows. The body stays calm. By the time the obstacle passes, the work is already underway. Warmth arrives late, as usual. The mind catches up and tries to narrate what happened. It finds no opening. The response was decided long ago, before comfort learned your name. Tomorrow we'll test this again. Something will shift. Someone will suggest an exception. The cold will arrive on time. You'll step into it carrying answers that require no thought, and leave others wondering when you decided to stop asking. When others feel unsettled, the shift is complete. At some point, the cold stops being the headline. It's still there, tight fingers, stiff hips, breath that needs a few counts, but it no longer defines the moment. What defines it is the reaction around you. You notice it when conversations stall as you enter. When jokes soften. When someone lowers their voice without knowing why. You take your place. The chair is cold. You sit anyway. Your body moves before the room finishes deciding how to treat you. Hands arrange tools the same way. Spine aligns. Jaw loosens on its own. The sequence has replaced intention. A colleague arrives late and scans for a gap to explain themselves. Finding none, they stop talking. The silence thickens. You feel it settle on your shoulders like an extra layer. This is not respect. It's recalibration. People adjust their expectations around you because you no longer adjust around them. Invitations come phrased carefully. If you're around. If it works for you. You hear the caution. You don't correct it. The cold has trained your presence to arrive without asking permission. There is friction in this stage. Friends tease you for being rigid. Coworkers call you predictable. The words are light, but the distance behind them is real. You feel it when messages arrive later than they used to. When plans change without consulting you. The body registers it as a faint pressure in the chest. You keep your rhythm. What has changed is subtle. You no longer arrive to prove anything. You arrive because the hour arrives. The cold comes with it. Knees fold. Breath steadies. The work begins. Others sense that there is no leverage here. No mood to appeal to. No story to negotiate. The lack of entry point unsettles them more than effort ever could. You see it clearly one morning when someone asks why you're so consistent. The question carries admiration and resentment in equal measure. You feel the familiar ache in the legs and recognize the answer would miss the point. Consistency is no longer an action you take. It's the absence of alternatives. You shrug. The conversation ends. The cold has done its work quietly. It stripped away choice. Then explanation. Now it removes identity as a performance. What remains is a body that shows up before comfort forms and stays until the sequence completes. Others feel this and sense a boundary they didn't help build. As you leave, the air still bites. The shoulders are still tight. None of that matters. What matters is that tomorrow will not require persuasion. The cold will arrive. So will you. And somewhere, someone will feel uneasy about that without knowing why. You are no longer asking yourself. Discipline is not what you do when conditions cooperate. It's what remains when warmth, praise, and permission are gone. By now, the cold no longer feels like an obstacle. It feels like confirmation. The body stands up before the mind checks in. Hands move. Breath finds its count. The sequence unfolds without debate. This is not effort. This is identity settling into place. You didn't become stronger. You became narrower. Fewer options. Fewer conversations with yourself. Fewer exits. The cold trained this by arriving without compromise, day after day, until showing up stopped feeling like a decision. You no longer negotiate because there is nothing left to negotiate with. The body already knows where to go. Others will continue to misunderstand this. They'll call it discipline, or obsession, or rigidity. Those words won't reach you. You've felt the floor cold under your knees. You've carried stiffness through the first movements. You've watched warmth arrive late, after the work was already underway. That experience doesn't translate. It only repeats. This is where discipline locks in. Not as behavior, but as being. You are the one who arrives before comfort exists and stays until the sequence is complete. Tomorrow will not ask how you feel. It will arrive cold. You already know what you'll do. Comment the action you will show up for tomorrow. No explanation. One line. Leave the rest behind.